All right, you're welcome back. My name is Rose Blossom Mwe, and of course, this is Nigeria Decide 2023. We've been going through a whole lot, the IREF, the Beavers, and everything. And so far, so good. Lagos is still quite, quiet and easygoing when it comes to the polling unit and, of course, the voting. And yes, we have my co-host here, Bola, which will probably give us an update quickly before we introduce
Yeah, we've
been
talking about different things, talking about voter apathy, talking about the fact that Nigerians are still coming out in their numbers, despite the fact that, the last election, presidential and National Assembly, wasn't really up to a lot of people's expectations. And then also there are also talks about how voting has already commenced in different places. That's against the notion that INEC would repeat what they did the last time, because as at the last time, as at 12 noon, so many polling units had no INEC presence.
True.
But this time around, we've heard from some of our correspondents who have told us that as at 9 o'clock, voting already commenced, accreditation already started. And then we've already talked about the coloration that ethnicity and religion is giving these particular elections, especially at hotspots like Lagos State, where you now have people voting along ethnic lines and already campaigning along ethnic lines as against, looking at the issues and focusing on what each candidate can bring on board. And so we're going to be looking at all of this. We're also going to be focusing on women in politics, how that has affected or how the participation has been. Will it improve this time around? Well, from what we've seen, it doesn't look like it's going to improve because so far from the National Assembly polls that happened during the presidential and National Assembly elections, we see that only 3 women have been declared winners. That are the Senate, and then only 15 at the House of Reps. That's nothing to go by, especially when you look at the statistics. While 141st out of 146 nations, and that's nothing to really write home about. But we'll be looking at all of this, and joining us in the studio to further discuss this is Adeyemi. He would be, of course, looking at all of these issues with us. Adeyemi Ajayi, Public Affairs Analyst. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure you've already been observing all of this going on, especially when it comes to voter turnout. And some people have said that when it comes to voter apathy, it may swing both ways. Some people would go out to prove to INEC that what happened the last time is not enough to discourage us. While some people will sit back at home and say, no, my vote doesn't look like my vote actually counted the last time. A lot of Nigerians, some Nigerians, let me not be too, let me not exaggerate. Some Nigerians are actually discouraged looking at the turnout or the results that happened during the presidential and National Assembly elections. Where do you think it will swing?
Yeah, politics is an uncertain thing, okay? We cannot say too much about where it's going to swing, but there is high level of tension, political tension, looking at the configuration of especially Lagos State. There are a lot of people who will likely have to come out to vote this time around, especially in Lagos where the ethnic game or ethnic card is being played. There will be a lot of people that want to come and prove a point that yes, we did it the last time, we can do it again. Again, there will be some people that want to come and defend their position that what happened the last time cannot repeat itself. And a lot of comments, statements being made by parties, threats and all that. Some people are ready to go out to douse the threat and also to express their right to vote. So I think in terms of swinging, there will be a lot of ethnic battle. I see it.
It's already
happening already.
Yeah, it's not like it's going to be a physical thing, but the result of the poll will show that some people have more interest than the other. And of course, it's still on the edge of the coin, I would say. But if you ask me strongly, people will still, especially in Lagos, will want to come out to vote. Because the last result, lots of people are not happy with it.
Yeah.
They'll still want to come out and say, okay, if we're not happy, let us try
again.
Change things around. Yeah. But you talked about the threat, and I'm really concerned about that because I was talking about it earlier, the fact that non-state actor or somebody who feels that he has a say in who wins the elections comes out and says, if you're not voting for a particular candidate or for a particular party, then don't come out to vote. and such affront is, allowed to pass by without any form of invitation from the police. The commissioner of police comes out and says, we're investigating to see what actually transpired in that particular meeting, when there is a video out there showing and proving that this person actually made the statement. So what are your thoughts?
You know what, Bola? I think the update right now is a particular Lagos Police Command actually came out and said they are investigating, while another, not in Lagos basically, was saying that he was just playing around.
Yeah, it was just a joke.
How would you?
That is expensive.
No, that's
You see,
even the fact that they could even come out to call it a joke. Is it a joke on Nigerians?
I think they are the jokes.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
maybe.
we should put it that way. I mean, that's what I would say, because somebody cannot come out and issue a threat and say
Yeah.
that is a joke.
The
I think you
effrontery.
are the joker calling it a joke.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to handle such thing with kids' glove. What they are telling us is forget about it. So if it happens, there will be casualties. And let me also tell you that the person who has made that statement is a major stakeholder in politics in Southwest, not only in Lagos State. He's a major stakeholder because they have their networks. They have their network to the extent that they have a thought, they have a belief, they believe that there are things they can do and get away with. In a saner climb, such person should have been invited and asked to refute such statements, and so that there will be peace. That enough can create tension. That can create fear in the minds of people.
Okay.
But let me tell you, people are ready to defend
I'm sorry
their
to actually cut you. We have one of our correspondents right now live that would like to give us a feedback on what's going on in the area. Let's have you, please.
Kaide Shopakon, good morning. Tell us what's happening at your polling unit.
Good morning, Omobolale. It's going peacefully here, as you can see behind me. Just a few moments ago, it was.
Tell us where you are. What polling unit is that, Kaide?
Okay, I am at polling unit 6006 and 007, Ward 15.
Okay, we can barely hear you now. That's quite muffled up. We might have to get.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Is it possible for you to move away from where you are and also take the mic closer to your mouth so we can hear you?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Okay, much better. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so I am at polling unit 006 and 007, Ward 15, Lagos Island.
Okay.
Where the governor, the incumbent Lagos State governor, has just casted his ballot. A few moments ago here, it was really tense, with journalists and people of Lagos trying to have a sight of the governor casting his vote. And I can tell you authoritatively that the governor was happy with the process, casting his vote and appreciating Lagosians for coming out in their numbers, to carry out their civic duty.
So what's the security situation like? Are people tense? Are people free? What's happening? Kaide, can you hear me? All right, Kaide there. But it looks quite sparse, if you ask me. It's not as populated as you would expect it for a sitting governor's polling unit. You'd expect that there are more people out there to cast their ballot. What do you think is happening?
Yeah, I think it's quite early to still look at that, because
okay.
a lot of people will be preparing to go out.
All right, Kaide is
What's
back.
the situation?
Okay.
Kaide, go ahead. Tell us what's going on there. I see a few trickles of people. Is that some form of voter apathy, or are we to expect more people as the day goes on?
Well, the crowd here has actually dispersed, because about 10 minutes ago, the governor came here to cast his ballot, to carry out his civic duty, and the place was really, crowded, with people trying to have a sight of the governor, with journalists doing their jobs and all that. Everybody was here, and the whole site was really, crowded. But I can tell you now that the place, like you said, the place is looking a little bit discarded because people have gone. But initially, when the governor came in, or before he came in, the place initially wasn't really, crowded, because people were thinking, where would he come, where would he not come, and all that. But when he immediately showed up, people started chipping in. We went into the information that the governor was coming. People started chipping in. Those who wanted to see the governor, those who wanted to take shots with him, those who wanted to hail him as usual now of Lagosians, those who wanted to hail him and all that. And also the security operatives were also on ground to ensure that there was peace and orderliness. But it's Lagos. You can't always have the peace that you want. You can't always have the orderliness that you want.
Well, I guess that's true for every part of the country. But tell us, are there any signs of vote buying in that place, whether discreetly or openly?
Well, from what I have seen thus far, there's no sign of vote buying. But if pockets of people saying or advising others saying vote OPC, vote this, vote that, you can't but always have that. But
the subtle campaign is still going on.
Subtle, like I said.
And the security agents there, what are they doing about it?
They're going about their peaceful. They're just peacefully. We have men of the police force. We have men of the immigration. We have immigration officers. We also have them on ground. And we also have observers all around monitoring the process.
All right, Kayode Shokpa there for us on Lagos Island. Well, thank you so much for the updates. We'll keep in touch with you to get more updates right there from Lagos Island. Thank you. Of course, we would have Andrew Abu joining us shortly, but go ahead.
Yes, well, first of all, I would like to add to the security stuff. There's something that came up which INEC Festus talked about and said that said about the security agencies. Well, some are having an identity card with INEC logo and its name writing complete access. He said that yesterday and said anything like that is actually a fake identity and they should call for the arrest. So this is just to alert Nigerians, those who are the polling unit, to actually watch out for people like this, so we don't have probably things that happened during the presidential election to repeat itself this time around. Just a heads up.
Okay, great one there. But I think Andrew Abu joins us now via Zoom. Thank you for joining us, Andrew. Good morning to you, Andrew. If you can hear me, it's good to have you on the show. All right, we would of course link back with Andrew when he's able to join us. But look at what was mentioned. Of course, it's good news that voting has started in that particular polling unit, especially the incumbent governor, Sanwo-Olu, already cast his ballot. But he mentioned a lot of issues, but most concerning is the subtle campaign he talked about. There are security agents on ground, but they are, turning the other way and looking like nothing is happening. What do you make of that situation?
Yeah, that happens everywhere. And most times in the past elections that we had in Nigeria, you have sort of campaigns. People come in to meet you, tell you to vote this and vote that. But one thing is the security agents at most polling units are usually overwhelmed.
But in this case, overwhelmed, it doesn't look like the situation is overwhelming.
Oh, well.
These are people you can count on your fingers. It's not overpopulated.
We can call it a kind of tactical compromise. Let me use that word in quotes. But of course, when I say that, is because when people don't come alive to their responsibilities, it's assumed that they compromise that situation.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me put a pause to that there. We would, of course, continue with you. But let's join Andrew Abu, who is joining us virtually. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, Andrew. All right, I was just trying to establish a connect there, but it looks apparently.
I think.
Yeah, good morning.
Okay.
All right, thank you for joining us. What do you make of the situation of things in different parts of the country? It looks like INEC is better prepared this time around because we see voting already on the way in different parts of the country.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been following up on events across the country, and so far the reportage from different states has been positive. Okay. So we'll still be monitoring the issues, monitoring the situation as it goes.
Okay, so let's look at the issue of voter apathy. Do you think that would be the case this time around? Because a lot of Nigerians, some Nigerians have lost faith in the process, looking at what happened at the February 25th elections.
Okay, so I think first off, we need to establish the fact that voter apathy has always been one of the major challenges we have in our electioneering process.
But there were high hopes that it would reduce this time around, especially with 87.2 million people getting their PVCs.
Yeah, so we've always had high numbers of registered voters. You know, that has never been in contention. So, but as it stands, we've always had voter apathy. So if you look at from 1999 till 2003, we've always had, you know, voting electorates in very low numbers as it goes on. Okay, now we have, like, if you look at the presidential elections, if you add all the votes together, it's about within the region of 23.
All right. Okay. We lost connection with him there. But Blossom, what do you make of his comments?
Well, I think basically okay. Andrew, are you back?
Yeah, so yes.
Okay.
So I think the network is a bit epileptic, but we'll just manage it. So can you hear me in the studio?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, so if you compare 2019 and 2023, you will observe that there's a decline, you know, in the voting, in the turnout of voting, you know, in 2023. So I feel that there's a lot that has to be done, and this is not just for INEC, you know. Civil society, political parties, and all the bodies that can, even religious and cultural bodies that can, you know, enlighten people on how important, you know, casting your vote is. You know, there's a whole lot of work that needs to be done in that regard. Then also we have people that don't believe in the process, you know, but whether you like it or not, you believe in the process or you don't believe in the process is going to work anyways, and votes will be counted, votes will be casted, votes will be counted, and the winner will be declared. You know, so I think people need to come out more to exercise their rights of voting, you know, for their respective candidates.
Yeah. So it's one thing for clerics and policy leaders, different, you know, leaders in different circles to come out to sensitize people on the need to vote. But another thing, when violence and voter intimidation is the order of the day, because when you look at the percentage of those who voted in 2019, which was actually described as the lowest since 1999, if you look at the level or the reduced number of people who came out this time around, that's even going below, way below what we had in 2019. And a lot of people had predicted before now that it was going to be massive, especially looking at the number of people who collected their PVC. That's why I'm more concerned about the fact that it's not even a case of people not coming out to vote. It's a case of people being disenfranchised, going out to vote with all the expectations, but then not having that opportunity to vote because there was no INEC presence, because there was voter intimidation, because there was violence. What do you make of all this?
Yeah, absolutely. It shows that people do not have confidence in the process, first. And most times during an election, you see people being afraid, you know, coming out because of the likely violence that may happen. So people want to preserve, at least protect themselves first. But unfortunately, if you look at it, the number of people even deciding who goes to be our president is about 10% of our entire population. And if 10% can decide the destiny of 100% of us, then there is trouble. If you go to advanced environment, you see more people voting, you know, coming out, showing interest in the process. But again, from what happened on the 25th, a lot of, you know, comments about people saying the bad, terrible issues along the line of the voting. You know, there were violences and all that. Now, that would be discouraging to some other people. I say, so it really means our votes do not count. So why are we really going there to say we want to vote when perhaps at the end of the day, we'll have something quite different from what we expect or what we have seen that we expect to happen. So, but again, I think there is need for us to have what we call electoral education in this country. Electoral education will help us sensitize us. It's not when we're close to election that we should be talking about that. We should start. National Orientation Agency should take up this responsibility.
That's another
talk a lot
kettle of
about
fish.
people knowing what to do. But unfortunately, then again, I see a very big problem with the way the electoral process is designed. So if you register in a particular place, you rather
can't vote
go there.
anywhere else.
Why can't you vote anywhere? Why can't I go to somewhere and take my card and say, I want to vote here? And once I vote, I cannot vote again. There should be a process. Technology is there. I can even be in my house to say, okay, let us deploy technology for me to vote without me going to anywhere out there if I want to protect myself. What about the elderly people that cannot even go out to queue? All those people within that circle, we have issues that we need to manage.
Okay. Anyways, I said something about voters' education.
Yeah.
That's the electoral education. Now, the thing is 4 years not enough for this education to actually come in place based on looking at what is going on the voter party? Because I must say, looking at what happened in the presidential election, I think is what is partially affecting this present one we're having. So what do you say? What's the difference? What happened within the 4 years that we could not achieve this education to the electorate?
Yeah, if you look at it, the number of people, the process keeps changing. The last process changed from this, and no enough sensitization and awareness for people to know so many things. Many people are coming out to tell you different things.
Whose fault is that?
Yeah, it's a fault of the government, because the government should take responsibility for educating people about the electoral processes.
There's a voter education department in INEC. Shouldn't it be their responsibility to do that?
Unfortunately, you see, the model of educating people is not just about technology.
Of
INEC
course.
has one of the most active Twitter handles I've seen. But how many of these market women have Twitter handles? Do they go to the market to reach out to them? What about people at different?
We
social
saw
systems?
snippets of that, them going to the marketplaces to educate people as regards the voting process and all of that. You don't think that was effective?
What's the
Also the
coverage?
grassroots. How about the grassroots?
Exactly. You see, if you go to the interiors, most of them, unless there is election, that's when people go to see them there. And those little pockets, across the country form the larger populace that we have. So there is need for us to dig deeper and have even ambassadors amongst those people to continue to educate them, to know how the process and everything pans out. What they all know. In fact, some don't even know how to turn print. They just get there and tell them that this is what you should do, and the mama will just like, okay, you told me, let me do it. They don't even know what they're doing. Some. So there is need to open up and also let people know in their own local language. I think INEC should have representatives in different places, not until when there is election. I mean, people should go and access information.
I don't know how feasible that would be, because even logistics is a big issue, and they've been preparing for 4 years. But let's come to Andrew. Now, Andrew, let's talk about vote buying. A lot of people have predicted that with the return or the ruling by the Supreme Court, and of course the statement by the CBN that the old Naira note should remain legal tender till December the 31st, that this time around vote buying may be more rife than it was during the last elections. What are your thoughts?
Okay, at least from what I've monitored so far, I don't think there have been anywhere that the incident of vote buying has, come up. And also in the polling units across the country that I've also, watched from different TV stations, there are INEC officials, EFCC officials, going around polling units to ensure that there is no vote buying. And it's pertinent for me to say this, that
Okay. Of course, he is talking about the fact that he's not seeing any signs of vote buying, but it's still early in the day. We hope
exactly
it goes on like that for the rest of the day.
It's almost 12, I think so.
This is 11 o'clock.
Okay, 11.
So we'll see how things pan out if eventually. But do you think that might be the order of the day?
I do not see it happening.
You do not see vote buying
this
happening?
time around. I
Okay.
do not see it because at the last election on the 25th, I strongly think, in my own opinion, that there was this intention to really do that. Probably at some point, some people knew and decided to bring this cashless punishment. Let me put it, upon us. It's good for the economy one way. It's also bad the other way. However, did that really stop vote buying? Even with the cashless thing, some people could have devised a means, of doing things differently. But this time around, from what the information I've been able to gather and all that, I do not see it happening, like that. Even the banks that we're talking about, they don't even have cash to even give. So what are we talking about? Probably after the election, there may be some kind of, post-election,
inducement.
That
would no longer be inducement. That would be appreciation.
Appreciation. Thank you for what you did. So it's now being paid after service, not you are being paid before service. So all these are things that may likely happen. But again, if such thing happen, you will know who voted for who. So the appreciation goes to who? Maybe to all. But
Okay,
unfortunately,
let me push this to Andrew. Andrew, are you still with us?
I'm here.
Okay, let's say next 4 years, definitely we're having another election. What do you think could be, aside from the, how do I put it? Okay, aside from every other thing, how best can you think we should educate the voters, of course, on how to go about this election, and also to reduce voters' apathy? Because it's as good as saying you can't even reduce it, but how do you think it's visible enough that we could actually, make this thing as much as no noise as possible? That's the voters' apathy. How best do you think we'll go about it in the next 4 years?
So
All right, I'm still experiencing some network glitches with Andrew, but these are some of the things we need to look at, especially looking at the fact that we have a developing democracy. And when you look at even developed democracies like the United States, like India, they still have some, pockets of skirmishes like this. But let's also look at how prepared Nigerians are to face issues as against looking at ethnicity, religion. Are we truly ready to stop being divided along ethnic lines, along religious lines? Because when you meet a Nigerian, you're looking at, we had a guest earlier on and he was talking about the fact that when he meets a Nigerian, he's not seeing a Nigerian, he's seeing a Yoruba person, he's seeing an Igbo man, he's seeing a Hausa woman.
we have a country called Nigeria without Nigerians. Yeah, we have a country called Nigeria without Nigerians.
That's deep.
That's very deep. You only get to connect with a Nigerian when you're outside this country. When you go outside Nigeria, that is when you meet a Nigerian.
You're not looking at the tribe.
You're not looking at the tribe. But once you are in Nigeria, the moment you introduce yourself, they say, oh, the moment you mention a name, you are Igbo, you are Yoruba. For God's sake, we don't need to do that. And let me tell you, that has pushed us back many years, many centuries, many decades. We don't need to go that way. We should rather be looking for competence. Religion is a thing between you and God. Ethnicity, you do not choose to be Yoruba or Igbo.
No.
You were born to be that. You know, I met a Jamaican some time ago. He put white bottles, 3 different white bottles, and he put different content inside. Black, green, red. And he said, what is the color of the bottle? And I said, well, it's white. All the 3 bottles are white. Then he called another person. I said, what is the color of the bottle? He said, oh, this color is red. This color is... He said, we see it differently. He said, you choose to know it because you were there when I poured the content. But the next person doesn't know. So what is that telling us? We're all same. We're just different content. And our content is what should fuse us, not what should divide us. But let me tell you, if I become Nigeria's president today, I'll have a roadmap that wherever you are born should be your state of origin. So if I'm born in Igbo land, I must have an Igbo name. My father is from Ekiti, right? If I'm born in Anambra, I should have Chinedu as part of my name. So
how does that change the narrative?
The way to change the narrative over time. My father is Yoruba, but I am from Anambra State. You now start looking at how does that play out. He gave birth to me here, so I belong here.
Oh.
Do you understand?
Oh, okay.
So if you have a child in the north, your child is a northerner, you're a southwesterner. Before we know it, it may be a matter of 50 years, 60 years, 80 years, the fusion will be there. And we'll be able to eliminate this.
Andrew, let's bring you in on this particular point, especially looking at ethnicity and religion. You see what's playing out in Lagos State, especially the political parties campaigning along the lines of ethnicity and different religions. And of course, that has caused a lot of crises, especially on, we saw the market fire, which was suspected to be politically driven. What are your thoughts on how divided we are when it comes to ethnic, our different ethnic backgrounds and religion?
Okay, so it's very regrettable and very sad that at this point of our nation development, we find ourselves in a place where, you know, people still hamper more on.
Okay.
No,
That's a sad one.
I'm so sorry.
But of course, let's also talk about, you mentioned competence earlier on.
Absolutely.
And I want to narrow in on that, especially looking at debates. When you watch some of these debates, you see that there are some political parties who never get represented. So how do you check competence? If, for instance, those whom you want to, or you hope to vote into office, you do not get to hear from them. But before you answer that, let's get back to Andrew to hear his thoughts. Andrew. All right. We'll link back up with Andrew. But let me hear your thoughts on competence, you know, debate, and how to, you know, channel all of this to hearing from the political office holders or intending office holders.
Yeah, one of the things that is quite surprising to me is that if people want to contest for a particular position or office, they should be bold to come out and talk to people. You know, that's when we'll be able to assess them and know that, okay, these are the people that are okay. Again, let's go back to the way we are being configured as a nation. Unfortunately, you'll get to know that whether I come out to talk to people or not, there are machineries in place, there are systems in place that can advance my cause to get in there. And of course, one of it is rigging, you know, which I think is an ethical thing. It happens virtually everywhere, but people have confidence in certain design that I don't really understand. You know, whether people are competent or not, there are things that will just advance them to that position. Now, how do we assess competence? We should first know what we want as a nation. You know, what do we want from this candidate? What do we want the next person to do for us? As a country, as a nation, one of the things we want now is economic emancipation. We need to get out of so many economic problems. Security issues are there. Power issues is there. So we need people or someone that will come out and say, I know the problem or the problems. These are my solutions to these problems. Everybody should do that part. And we should be able to assess who has the capacity, what are their track records, what have they done, what are they capable of doing. That should be the basis of us going to polls, but not the basis of the fact that you are Yoruba, you are Igbo, I am Hausa, we are this, so, and you are a Muslim, I'm a Christian. Those things are just elements of confusion. They use them to confuse people that are less educated, you know. And by the time people follow that line, you may even discover that the person you are voting for, that is your tribesman or woman, may not even have that thing upstairs. But people have that, you know, alignment because of, you know, it's my tribes person, it's my religious group member. All those things should just totally be, you know, taken out. We don't need them. We need result. We need someone that can deliver result to us. Unfortunately, we're just battling between two religious groups, Christian, Muslim. If somebody comes out in Nigeria today and he said, I am Babalawo and I want to be Nigeria's president, what do you think will happen to that person? They say, no way. They won't give that person a chance. I'm not saying that I subscribe to that, you know, but what I'm trying to say is those elements should be totally eliminated.